Four-star safety Jayden Sanders makes his commitment tomorrow, choosing between Michigan, Baylor, and Oklahoma State. Sure, one's big, and yes, one's a bear. Both can be great, but neither are going to care the same because they are not like us.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more as playoffs wind down and the summer heats up. FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. There's something in this for everyone, every day, all summer long. Make sure you visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of recruiting. Jayden Sanders has been a pick of mine for quite some time to join the Cowboy recruiting class. A recruiting class that started so hot has trailed a little bit recently. With 30 some odd seniors and 16 redshirt juniors, we don't have an overabundance of a need at per se many positions. But we do know that you want to continuously be building for more CFP appearances. Fresh off of a CFP appearance and a national title is the Michigan Wolverines. A lot of the expert punditry do, in fact, have Jayden Sanders ending up in Michigan. The 6'2", 180-pound safety is trending Michigan, and a little bit of Baylor, making Oklahoma State possibly, or at least evidently, the third place. And truthfully, we shouldn't be third place, and we shouldn't be second place really either, because second place is just the first loser. So who really wins in the end? Like, yeah, the big bad Michigan Wolverines. So big and bad, in fact, that they the scandal swam themselves all the way to a national title. The big house cannot be stopped, not by the Washington Huskies, not by the NFL, the NCAA, not even by the FBI, and certainly not by us. But I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. Michigan fans only really care that your name is J.D. Sanders. Oh, wait, Jayden, it's not. They love them some Andrew Marsh if they're going to stick in the state of Texas. So, of course, naturally, you being a 4-star worth all of the weight in gold would be somebody that they would love to have in Ann Arbor, I'm sure. Nothing but glowingly, loverly things to say about their future Texas star safety, right? Well, let's see. Michigan, let's see. What Michigan boards have to say? We'll never beat Ohio State if the likes of Baylor and Okie State are the only competition for players we're getting. Michigan. It would be so comical if a kid ever got down to Michigan and Stanford and they were to choose Auburn. Haha, how stupid. They don't really think too highly. Texas is a hard place for us to get historically, but I've never understood why. It's just a red dirt shithole. Two in-state schools who are willing to pay for players, OSU and OU, and now LSU, are lurking and paying for the top talent. Doesn't seem that hard to figure out why. I've been to Texas many times. It's a sweltering expanse of nothingness that's high on the self-mythology list and treats everybody less fortunate like total shit. I lived in Texas for over 15 years. Everything y'all are saying is being too kind. It would be so comical if they cared a little bit more about your specific services. I would say that it would be a little bit less comical if they cared a little bit more about not necessarily, where do you come from? Or the fact that you're stuck right next to Oklahoma State and Baylor. Therefore, they're not going to get any better if they're getting the likes of you. This is their mindset, brother man. Not me, not mine. I love Michigan. You love Michigan. And when they're not running around cheating 24/7, from a historical perspective, I think all of the world typically loves Michigan. But they don't love you, buddy. They couldn't give 13 hoots or toots or poops about what you do or don't do. Because the fact that Oklahoma State and Baylor made it in your top 3 right next to them tells them all they think they need to know about you. And Baylor, I mean, let's face it, guys, Baylor's more bipolar than my ex-wife, right? Up, down, hot, cold, on probation, not on probation, love the new coach, hate the new coach, lose the new coach. Doesn't matter because they're going to treat them the same with never putting enough seats or butts in the seats. Baylor could be 11-0 and top 5 in the country. It's still not sell out for their team. I like Baylor. I love Dave Aranda. I just don't want to see you get wasted at a place that may or may not even care who's there in the end or not. I'm not saying the players. I'm sure they would love as many players as they can get. And I'm sure Baylor would love you significantly more than even Michigan would. But Baylor's in a rebuild every other year. Oklahoma State is the solid foundation of stone that you should find a way to call home. This is the most innovative, energetic, and exciting version of the 3-3-5 defense in America with some fun 4-2-5 sprinkles this season that are going to be must-see TV. You know the value of making the best decisions in the heat of a battle. And I know that we are far more value of you than Michigan or even Baylor. So instead of debating between wearing the maize and blue or the mustard yellow and early onset baby poo, just stop, get some help, and make the right move. Because in the end, we care about teaching, grinding, growing, and winning more than anyone alive, not named you. This is the right fit. This is the right time. You are the right guy. You know how rare Brian Nardo is, just like you know the development, the continuity with the Oklahoma State coaching staff is not something you're going to get anywhere else. Not with Jerome Moore at Michigan, definitely not with Dave Aranda over at Baylor. He just had to make some staff moves to shake things up enough to maybe save his job, but I don't get that either. Why should Dave Aranda be having to save his job when the fan base is never going to show up to support him enough for it to make the most amount of sense anyways? See, Dave Aranda is going to use Baylor as a jump-off opportunity because Dave Aranda can see the same thing that I see. And likely, if you turn on the TV this season, you will see the same thing. No matter what happens, no matter how good they are, they're not going to come out and support their team like Oklahoma State does. We're in a rare position. We're in a position where we should be contending for Big 12 titles every single year. We should be competing for CFP appearances more often than not, just like we should be competing for your services. I understand the history, the legacy, the camaraderie, or the pageantry, I guess I should say, that comes with Michigan. And I understand being out on the Brazos River has a lot of appeal. I think that's one of the nicest stadiums in the Big 12. But it's about getting more opportunities. This is your future, Jayden Sanders. This is your development, your fast track ticket to success to the NFL. It could be with Michigan, of course. But it could also be taken away from you. Michigan can end up in more scandals, right? All of this FBI, NCAA, it's not going away. And ironically enough, even amongst all of this, more scandals, more issues, they're going to bring Coach Harbaugh back to celebrate last year's season. Then if we're going to do that, why have Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire not, ended up in the upper echelon of the pantheon of the greats without that extra asterisk? Well, they can't because they cheated. But Michigan, a little bit of a different story. Mike Gundy is not about this life. Everyone wanted to chastise Ollie Gordon for having a mistake. Go look in the SEC. Guys, it's almost a rite of passage. If you're going to go to Georgia and play for a national title, you have to get arrested a multitude of times or you're not going to make the team or make the roster. So good job, Jayden. Not thinking of Georgia here, but Michigan's going to be bogged down in a bunch of craziness, unnecessary distractions that are going to take away from you developing, getting on the field, and seeing the most amount of games possible. You want to be in the CFP? Oklahoma State is the ticket. So I understand we currently might be third in this top 3. But it shouldn't stop me or anybody else from making a plea for you to join Mike Gundy and this Oklahoma State locker room that's going to continue to build into something even more special as time progresses, without all the craziness, without all the distractions. It's unnecessary. I'll tell you what else, we should maybe take a gander at is the fact that our lads have taken a stab at putting all of our lads in depth chart pads. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to remind you out here that FanDuel is your ticket to making Z money, honey. We're going to hammer the over. We're going to try to maximize the piggy bank department this football season, but you have to make sure that you have FanDuel ready to go. Make sure you have the app. Make sure that you have the odds. And make sure that you have the willingness to make yourself some money. As playoffs are winding down, the summer's heating up, the sports aren't giving us everything that we're yearning for. FanDuel knows that. So they're allowing you to get hooked up whenever you want. All you got to do is open the app, dream up the bet, and bada boom, bada bing, bada bang, it's a done deal. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. So there's something in this for everyone every day all summer long. You need to make sure that you head on over to FanDuel.com to start making the most out of your summer dollar bills, because FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Speaking of Major League Baseball, Jackson Holiday's continuing to do the daggone thing. You've been watching Donovan LaSalle being in a lot of highlights on top of Jason Jones, the Arkansas transfer. Inevitably, it should be another good year for Cowboy baseball. Get with FanDuel today. Get in the money-making action. It's that time of year. It is also at that time of year to talk about 3 Deep. This isn't for me. I am going to do our version of the 3 Deep next week, but this is Our Lads. And Our Lads does this every single year, all the way across the board for pretty much everybody. And they typically get quite a bit right. So it's always fun to take a peek at what their guesstimation is going to be and compare it to what we roll out against SDSU. Starting off wide receiver X, they have Rashad Owens, his backup, Talon Shetron, his backup, third string, Cam Hurd, and Cam Hurd's backup, Io Shotamide King. The starting Z is Dejon Stribling, followed by Cabanis, followed by Tyke Andrews, then Jalen Pope. The slot receivers, of course, BP, Brennan Presley, followed by Gavin Freeman, followed by DeJuan Lofton, followed by Jackson Deason. Again, I'm going to save my commentary for our official version, okay? Because I almost slipped up and said something there. So we're going to move on. Left tackle, Dalton Cooper. After Dalton Cooper, they have Isaiah Glass. They do not have a third stringer, which is going to make our episode next week a little bit more fun. Left guard, they have Cole Birmingham. Next to him, Jason Queso Brooks. At center, they have Joe Maholski. Next to him, Austin Kowicki. Right guard, Preston Wilson. His backup, Taylor Materko. Taylor Materko's backup, Davis Dotson. At right tackle, Jake Springfield, followed by redshirt freshman Jack Dean, followed by UNLV transfer Noah McKinney. Then you have the tight end, Tyler Foster makes his way over from Ohio. Then Quentin Stewart is a redshirt senior now, followed by Avery Shetron and the freshman Josh Ford. Quarterback Alan Bowman, followed by Garrett Rangel, Zane Flores, and Mayoake Smith. Of course, at running back week, they have Ollie Gordon, Trent Howland, Sessi, Melahi, and Hudson Devins. Fullback, the converted defensive end, number 38, Jake Schultz, followed by Coach McIndoe's son, Luke McIndoe, and then the cooking expert, Bryce Drummond. That is the offensive side of the ball. Depth chart from our lads. Let's go to the defense. They have the starting left defensive end in Obi Ezegbo, followed by Xavier Ross and Landon Dean. Nose tackle, they have Colin Clay starting, followed by Justin Kirkland. And Justin Kirkland's third string backup is Aiden Kelly. Aiden Kelly Four-string backup is Iman Oates. The right side defensive end, Cody Walterscheid, followed by Deshaun Brown and Jaleel Johnson. Weak side linebacker, and according to our lads, the poor fellow's all by himself, Colin Oliver. Weak middle linebacker, Nick Martin, followed by Stillwater High School redshirt sophomore Gabe Brown. We have the Sam linebacker, Justin Wright, to your kneecap, soft Campbell-esque, linebacker, Justin Wright, followed by Jeff Robertson. Cornerback, starting senior Corey Black, his backup, the Arkansas State transfer Kenneth Harris, and then a longtime Cowboy DeKelvin Beeman. Strong safety, Daniels, followed by Ty Williams. Free safety, Trey Rucker, Kobe Hilton, and Parker Robertson. The other side corner, the boundary side, Cam Smith and Cale Smith. The additional safety, Alaric Rawls, followed by Cam Epps. Special teams, they have the starting punter as Hudson Koch. They have Westfall as his backup. Starting place kicker, they have Logan Ward, followed by Kason Shrum. And now they did add Drake Tabor and David Arriaga. Kickoff specialist, same thing, Logan, Shrum, Tabor, Arriaga. Long snapper, Shea Frybum, followed by redshirt senior Aiden Davenport. The holder, Westfall, the backup punter, and his backup to also hold would be Hudson Koch. Punt returner, Brendan Presley, backed up by Cale Cabanis, Gavin Freeman, and DeJuan Lofton. Kick returner, also BP, also followed up by Cale Cabanis. The primary injury they have listed is A.J. Green. So, again, I wanted to go through the entirety of that just to kind of give it. And now this is the give and take section. So now that you've seen the RLads, go to rlads.com, take a peek at it, see what you can kind of mix and move and shuffle around to get your perfect 2 deep, or if you want to expand on it, a 3 deep. Feel free, for everybody watching on YouTube, to fire away down in the comments section. What are your thoughts on that 3 deep or 2 deep from our lads? Is there some guys that you would move, shake? Let me know. Before we skedaddle on off of here, we do have to talk about some Cowboys in the NFL. Some of you may have watched last night. Our main man, Chuba Hubbard, likely to be the leading back for the Carolina Panthers, did not play. Because of that reason, they had to get, the backups, significant amount of reps, which is pretty standard. We also did not get to see Malcolm because he had a little minor injury. Well, they thought it could have been major last week in practice. He had to leave practice. He was able to come back a little bit early, assuming it's just precautionary, but he didn't get to suit up. Christian Holmes did suit up for the Giants, and he was all over the field. I think he had, 4 or 5 tackles, multiple solo. He had a pretty good game. He had a good account for himself. And then today, I'm sure most of you have already seen some of the games or are seeing them as I'm speaking. But you got Emmanuel Ogbah as a Miami Dolphin taking on James Washington's Atlanta Falcons. Then you have Jaylen Warren, the Pittsburgh Steeler, that may not play a bunch, but will get some play against the Houston Texans, followed by the Raven, Justice Hill, and his buddy, Tylan Wallace, both suiting up to go up against the Eagles. Tomorrow, we've got a lot more Cowboys. I'm going to be very excited to watch Mason Rudolph. I'm also going to be very, very pumped up to be able to watch Leon Johnson III. There's so many Cowboys out there. Amen Bogmamiga is looking to do the daggone thing as well. This is a good time for us to kind of, get re-immersed with football, preseason or not, before we get ready for this epic Oklahoma State Cowboy Big 12 title and CFP season. So, in closing, Jayden Sanders seems to be trending very, very highly towards Michigan, like all of the expert recruiting services. And then there's a little bit of love for Baylor, not a whole lot for Oklahoma State. And as I said, previously, the longer it drags on, the less confident I would have felt. So maybe he's leaning that way. Maybe he's leaning Baylor. But he should probably think about Oklahoma State because, again, this is his future. This is his instantaneous ability to have enough success and enough development to catapult that into the NFL without having to transfer or do any of the crazy stuff. Baylor, as their coaches proudly say, we pay players. Well, so do we. We pay players who play, and we pay players who stay. Loyal and true does have a little bit of a different ring to it in Stillwater, Oklahoma. The Cowboy culture is a thing that cannot be replicated anywhere across the country. You can look at Chris Robinson coming over from a Kilgore himself. I know, a little bit of a different atmosphere. But this is the right move for you. Don't want to see you later on down the line kicking yourself. You don't want to end up transferring or anything. That's not fun. Just like you need to make sure that you get squared away with the Gametime app today. The ticket game, it's never going to get easier once you have Gametime downloaded. You know, the stress of the traveling and the hotels and all of the craziness that comes with events. Take some of the craziness out of the equation by downloading the Gametime app today. All you have to do is create that account and get yourself the best in the game. And this doesn't have to be just football. It doesn't have to be just about Oklahoma State or the Big 12, because you can also get the best tickets for music, comedy, and theater. Easy to find, easy to buy tickets. Relieve most of the stress, most of the concern that you can have when you're looking to buy tickets. The all-in pricing allows you to feature the total upfront with no surprise fees at the checkout. The lowest price guarantee means that Gametime will credit you back 110% of the difference if you find a better deal. Gametime ticket coverage means that your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Zone deals save you even more when you choose a section and let Gametime pick the seats. Make sure that you take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create that account, redeem that code. LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So before I let you all skedaddle on off of here, I do want to hear out of some of the Cowboys that are going to be playing tomorrow and today. Is there some names that are kind of surprising to you? It's good to see that James Washington's having another opportunity. We all know that what he went through as a Pittsburgh Steeler, not really a fair shake. Just like Mason Rudolph didn't really get a fair shake. That's the Big Ben drama. And realistically, Pittsburgh is going to suffer because of it for quite some time, which does kind of stink for our dude, Jaylen Warren, man. And let me know down in the comment section. Does Jaylen Warren overtake Najee Harris this year? Or, since it's a contract year for Najee, do the Steelers use and abuse Najee Harris, knowing that they're going to have a fresh and ready Jaylen Warren next season? Let me know down in the comment section what you're thinking about the Chargers. Guys, they have like 7 rookie wide receivers. Leon Johnson is good enough, agile, mobile, and hostile enough to make this daggone thing happen. I'm excited to see what Devin Harper's doing in a new home. AJ Green, have you guys seen the clips of what he's been doing? The one-handed pick after jamming the dude almost out of bounds with the sideline going crazy and then snagging it down with one hand. AJ Green is continuing to maybe carve out a role for him still yet in the NFL. There's so many opportunities out here. And then when you look at Ollie Gordon and Nick Martin, I think that there's going to be a quarterback of the bunch that ends up being in the NFL. Are they going to have the same level of careers maybe even a Mason Rudolph has had? Who knows? Could one of them end up going towards the Zach Robinson route and transition this thing into more of a coaching career? I think that would be very suitable for somebody like an Alan Bowman. I would imagine, though, Allen's not. He's going to keep pursuing something after collegiate football, but clipboard, headset, right? The Brandon Whedon-esque mantra that he could bring to the fold, I think would be beneficial. I also think that before Zane Flores or Garrett Rangel decided they were coming back, I think Alan Bowman also understood that if something were to go crazy, I have to be okay with teaching, right? So if there's going to be a coach next in line, why not have another J.W. Walsh? Why not have somebody else that, has your best interest at heart and also understands the Cowboy culture, the lay of the land, and how to get the most out of everybody on the squad? This season is the one of capitalization. Jayden Sanders should capitalize on it as well by becoming a Cowboy. I'm going to keep howling at the moon until it happens. Speaking of, it happens to be all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's okay, too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast and people out there. The bricks, the butter, the bread, the foundation. Call it what you want to call it. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave a review. I appreciate you. All righty. Later, taters.